Hi, my name is Leonard Roy. I have some concerns about the Constitution of the United States of America. This is the Constitution. My concerns are about the language in the Constitution where it talks about Indians. As you can probably see, I'm a Native American, born in White Earth Indian Reservation in Minnesota. I just want to go to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution. And it reads as such: representatives and direct taxes shall be appropriated among the several states which may be included within the Union, according to their representative numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound to serve for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. Now this Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 was amended in the 14th Amendment. And in the 14th Amendment, it says, we'll go there, the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Section 2, this was after the amendment of Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. This is Section 2 in the 14th Amendment. Representatives shall be appointed among the several states according to their representative numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed, period. Now, everything I looked at or tried to find about the legal powers of the Constitution, what it means. So even in the Constitution, it talks about making treaties. Well, I'll just kind of read it here. Article 6 of the United States Constitution. This Constitution allows the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authorities of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of the state to the contrary notwithstanding. That means they can't go ahead and, my opinion is, legislate over us, regulate commerce. Even that, the Commerce Clause, I think we should be looking at too. Article, what I believe it is, Article 6. No, wait, no, it's Article, let's see, it's Section 8, Article 1, Section 8. That's what it is. And here's how it reads. Constitution of the United States of America. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. Upon their own admittance in Congress and in writing, and even in Indian federal law, that they admit that they haven't had the living, heart-breathing human being standing before them to make these determinations, to make these laws, to ask us whether or not we want to vote on it, or even to say whether or not we would like to have an opinion on it. All these things that I speak of can be looked up and found in the history of the Senate and history of Indian federal law. And it's not that hard to go to the Constitution of the United States of America and look up some of these articles that I talked about. I guess the key words I want to look at is representatives. I mean, This is the supreme law of the land, this Constitution. Without it, what would the government do? Without it, what would the American citizens do? Without it, even to say to make treaties for this country, to represent the American citizens of this country. Is it fair to say that we as Indians don't qualify to have a say over our own lives? Don't qualify to have a say over the right to self-determination? Don't qualify to have a say whether or not we continue to be the Chippewa, or even the so-called Chippewa of the Mississippi. My ancestors established the Treaty of 1867 here in White Earth that established these territories with the sovereign representatives of the United States of America. I love this country. I have no problem with this country, and I have no problem going by this Constitution of the United States. I see it as we are the only ones named in the Constitution as a group of people, Indians. As the supreme law of the land, I'm just saying that we should be going by this. That taxing is a big deal. It's even a bigger deal if you're named in the Constitution to be excluded from that portion. Maybe I'm wrong about some of the processes they take to negotiate amongst themselves to say whether or not I am a human being and I should be looked at and considered to be a human being. I see myself as a human being. But again, the Constitution, I think that is the supreme law of the land, that we should all be taking a look at this. That everybody in this country should be taking a look at these articles in here, and we should be having an open and a fair discussion on it, rather than legislators or senators, lawmakers, or the president himself. The president we had today, Mr. Obama. I wrote him a letter saying some of these things about the articles in the Constitution and how it's written in there that the president negotiates the treaties, ratifies the treaties, but maybe he doesn't have the power to tell Congress or the Senate that you're out of line with the Constitution by creating a law, legislating over Indians, and the Constitution says you shouldn't be doing that. I'm not saying that I want to be lawless. I'm not saying that I don't want to be treated fairly in this country, because I do. Again, I love this country. This is, our country. We were here first. We were on the shorelines when Columbus landed there on Plymouth Rock. And we welcomed them with open arms, gave them land to live on, helped feed them. I even see it as the framers of this Constitution were grateful enough to say the Native Americans were good enough to give us lands to live on. So we'll write them into this document, and we'll make it clear that we can't tax these people in their own lands. We can't come take their properties, and isn't that what that means by not being taxed? To send us threatening letters now and say that you either pay or the interest is going to go and double on you, and pretty soon you owe $100,000. When you try to go by the law in this country and you don't get jailed, I understand that. But if you violate the laws of this country, you get jailed. But again, like I said, if you try to go by the law in this country, they shouldn't be getting threatening letters from the state or courts or anybody for debt, if the Constitution says otherwise. I'm just asking to be treated fairly, justly, and that the Constitution should be followed. I'm not asking for any other special privileges or rights other than what's written in the Constitution. The negotiations that used to have between the treaty-making process and my people, I don't know. I guess I'm not the one to be solely the one to be answering those questions or questioning all that. Or maybe I am. I don't know. But I guess I'm asking for opinion from other American citizens that are under this Constitution of the United States of America. It either means what it says or it doesn't. Went to go see, try to get in to see President Obama back in March. I wrote him a letter in January, January 31st, mentioning that I'd be there in March to speak, to maybe have a visit. But the security's so tight around here, you can't even get anywhere. Even to get into one of those, like the Secretary of the Interior building. We went there and we tried to see some representative from the Secretary of the Interior. We go to the front gate there and there's all these security guards sitting around there at their desk. You go approach the desk and they ask you, well, what's your business? Do you have an appointment? Well, either way, I did have business, but I didn't have an appointment. So he gives me this big spiel about getting in. You can't get in unless you have an appointment to get in. Well, my opinion was, how do you get in to make an appointment? He says, well, you talk to the secretary. And I says, well, where's the secretary at? He says, well, they're upstairs. Well, how am I supposed to talk to the secretary if I can't get in to make it, to see the secretary to make the appointment? And he kind of shrugs his shoulders, So I asked him, well, why don't you just call up there and see if I can speak with somebody? So he called up there and he spoke to the secretary there. She answers and talks to me on the phone. Says to her, well, she asked me what my business is, what I needed. So what I needed to say was, well, I'm here to see somebody about my right to self-determination. Genocide through blood quantum, human rights, civil rights. Okay, she says, let me speak to the security guard. So she talks to the guard. Then we go sit down, told her to go sit down over there and wait. So we go wait over there. We sat around about an hour, and nobody come down. We come down. Pretty soon the security guard, he's waving at us. Come over here, come over here. And he's got this phone number on this piece of paper. We're supposed to go call upstairs. But he says, you probably get better reception outside. Go call up. Call up there, see what the problem is. See if they can let you in. So we go outside. Laura, my other half, she calls up there and asks, the secretary, you're going to come see us? And the secretary says, geez, I was just down there looking for you guys. Where you at? We said, well, we're outside. They told you wasn't coming down. Sent us outside to call you. And, wow, that's basically it. She did come down while we were outside. And so we go back here. She comes down to get us, and we go back upstairs. And we meet with the secretary, or what the heck was it? The Secretary of Indian Affairs. His name was Paul Stussy, something like that. While we're sitting there having a conversation about the letter that I sent Obama, some of the concerns I had, he was talking about what do you want? He says. And I said, well, didn't you read the letter? He says, yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense, what you're asking for. I don't know if I can help you. I don't think I can help you. And we started getting into it about a little bit about Lackawanna, the language in the Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, talks about Indians, excluding Indians not taxed, and 3/5 of a person. And he gets into it and he says, well, the language in the Constitution where it talks about Indians doesn't mean anything. How could that be? How could the language in the Constitution of the United States of America, how could the language in this document not mean what it says? I got kind of angry, upset that he would say such a thing, that the document they take an oath to uphold, the document that our people that went over to Iraq and Afghanistan are fighting to hold our freedoms under, and say this is what they're defending. So I was kind of angry. Well, either way, he ran us out of the office saying that he wasn't going to pass on the letter to Obama. Apparently he did, because I haven't heard anything, or they're not really concerned about it. But again, I'm talking about the United States Constitution and the articles in there, excluding Indians not taxed. Commerce Clause talks about working with the Indian tribes. And I think we should take a look at some of the language in there. Take a look at the word excluding. What does excluding mean? But I do have the definition here. I looked it up. Dictionary. And it says, excluding definition. Excluding. 1. To refuse to admit, consider, include, etc. Shut out, keep from entering, happening, or being. Reject, bar. 2. To put out, force out, expel. Nowhere in this definition of excluding does it say including, like it does in the Constitution. It says including Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. It talks about including twice in there. Then in the third part of the Constitution, or Section 2, Clause 3, it says excluding. Excluding. Under the representative part of the Constitution. Even when they amended it, they said excluding the Indians not taxed. Well, I don't see no inclusion there. Including. So what I'm complaining about here is that they went ahead and made laws. I mean, they made us citizens by act of Congress, legislated over us. They made us citizens. Is that legal? Is that just? Is that constitutional? 1924, that was called the Indian Citizenship Act. Again, in 1934, they passed another law, Act of Congress. Created tribes. The tribe I live under is the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, the federally recognized Indian tribe. So they went ahead and created an Indian tribe called the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. That's not who we are, because that negatives the identity. Negatives my identity. They give themselves the right to come in the back door of our territories that we established by treaty and implement their rule of law. When the Constitution says no, you cannot legislate, you cannot represent the Indians. We have representatives. We have chiefs, we have clans, we have headsmen. We have a process that was stripped away, like we were some kind of toy to them, that they could just strip away our identity and impose another one on us. So that would give them authority to legislate over us, make laws. Is that fair? Is that just? Is that human? In the process, even today, in my own territories here, while my father passed, had some land. Now I get a letter in the mail saying I don't even get a choice to have discussion with the family about the lands that my father had. They're just going to take it and sell it to whoever was living on it, or whomever's living on it, and give them a clear title to it, without even asking us. I think that anybody in this country would be upset about something like that. Anybody. That if the family decides, is supposed to decide what happens to the land, long as there's not a dispute amongst the family members, how can they just appoint a judge, an administration judge, to go ahead and, well, here it is, we did all the research and here's the errors, and here's how much land there is, and here's the money for it. Not even allowing us to go look at where it's at, what it looks like, what's on it, whether or not we want to decide if one of our family members want to live on it. Isn't that the process in America? Isn't that the process to be free? For us to decide? We live under laws, so many laws here. Heck, check it out. There's a constitutional rule of law there. There's a federal rule of law. There's the state rule of law. And now there's the tribal rule of law. We live under all these rules of law. Where's the freedom? Huh? We live under the rule of law of Congress, deciding whether or not we want to sell our lands or develop a law enforcement or a court system or any sort of system that would benefit the people. We don't even have jobs here. They set it up, the Indian Reorganization Act in 1934, created a tribe out of that 80 years ago. 80 years. And all we have is a casino? No. Our people are suffering because we don't have opportunity. Huh? We live out here and I drive 80 miles one way to go to work. Huh? And because there's no work here, I have to leave these boundaries to go work outside of these boundaries. And even though the Constitution says I'm excluded from taxation, the Minnesota Chippewa tribe goes ahead, the leadership goes ahead and allows the state to tax me. I'm not complaining about paying taxes because I pay taxes. I pay taxes on the gas we buy. I pay taxes, with anything that's taxed, cigarettes, electricity, heat. There isn't any tax that I don't pay that any other American citizen would be paying on those artifacts or things that keep us warm or keep our lights on. I guess I'm complaining about the language in the Constitution where it says excluding the Indian is not taxed. Does it mean what it says? People, if they can do it to one race of people where it exclusively says Indians not taxed. That's me. Huh? In the article of representation. They can't represent me. The Constitution says no. But they come in the back door and did it anyway. Oppressed us. Now they want my land. Huh? They want to take away my property that I buy, my car, my livelihood. To even say they're going to garnish my wages. And the Constitution says no. I just thought I'd put this out there for everybody to see and maybe get some hits on it on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere in cyberspace. This isn't just for the Americans. This is for the whole world to try to understand why they would treat the Native Americans, so-called Indians in this country, like we belong to them. We belong solely to them to rule over us like kings and queens, legislate over our lands, legislate over our rights. The Constitution says no. It's a very, very, very same thing they ran from. Taxation without representation. It's tyranny. The Boston Tea Party threw their tea into the river, dressed up like Indians. Why would they do such a thing? Because we were free. We were free people. Now in 2010, you see the Tea Party. I don't see no Indians dressing up out there. I don't see them throwing tea into the lake. Huh? Because we're so oppressed. We have so many laws over us. Who would want to be like me? Who? So, appreciate some comments. Thanks for listening. Hopefully hear something positive back.